Thank you, Chair. Morning.
Morning.
Also, when we're talking about the Aboriginal Community Infrastructure Fund, Murray Valley Aboriginal Co-op really need an upgrade. I'll just get that on the record. Thank you. First of all, Minister, referring to budget paper 3, page 168, why is the funding for traditional owner engagement and cultural heritage management being cut almost in half? 24-25, 69.3 million, 25-26, 35.7 million.
Yeah, I haven't got that page, but I can, if you're referring, sorry, Ms Benham, so if you're looking at the department output summary, page 121 of the DPS, you can see the traditional owner engagement and cultural heritage management programs. You're right to identify that figure has moved from it was 70 million in 24-25, a budget 35.7. The reason for that, and I think it might be noted down the bottom in the explanatory notes, but I can just speak to it more generally. There was a specific allocation of funds that were provided to the Watchabaluk people and through Barangi Gadjan. That was a specific allocation for that year as under the recognition and settlement agreement that we've signed with them. So there was a specific allocation, and that was for that particular year, and that means that it didn't continue for the next year, so our funding went down as a result of that.
Was that for specific cultural heritage management plans or investigations or reviews?
No, it's more generally under the Traditional Owner Settlement Act. So if you look at this, this here talks about traditional owner engagement and cultural heritage management programs. So it's more in the traditional owner engagement space.
Okay.
Under the Traditional Owner Settlement Act, we've got 4 recognition and settlement agreements as an alternative to pursuing the native title through the federal court and the Commonwealth process. And there was a specific allocation that went to Barangi Gadjan stroke Watchabaluk.
Okay, so that's
tribes.
winding up.
That's okay. It's not winding up, it was a one-off payment.
It's a one-off.
Yeah. Right, okay, but that continues on with no additional funding, that now continues?
It was a settlement amount
that
was provided to them.
It was a settlement
It was
amount?
a settlement amount that was provided to them under the recognition and settlement agreement that we have with them.
Okay, thank you. There's been many recognised Aboriginal parties that have said that they're under-resourced and struggle to complete cultural heritage surveys in prescribed timeframes. Is there any consideration to how that might be alleviated with the funding that's been allocated?
Well, certainly we hear the challenges that some of our traditional owner corporations are having with staffing levels, and that's a huge challenge in any sector at the moment, but it is a challenge there. One of the things that we have committed to in our funding is to stepping up the number of people that are able to go through our Cert 4 training in being a cultural heritage manager, which is something that we want to see more qualifications so that our traditional owners can engage their own people to fill those roles. And that has been a bit of a shortfall in the past in terms of that skilled labour. So that's something we have committed to, more positions out of this budget to funding. But certainly we recognise that, and it's not just our traditional owner groups that are struggling with this. We've heard it from our ATSHOs, and all organisations are struggling with attracting labour in to stay. And that's something that, as a government across different portfolios, we're trying to work on.
Yeah, so how many additional cultural heritage managers will be required to be able to streamline this process? And is there a budget allocation for that?
Yeah, so each of the registered Aboriginal parties, of which there are now 12 across the state, and that covers about 75% of the state through RAPS.
Yep.
The rest of the state is the responsibility of my department. because there hasn't been agreement about who should be the registered Aboriginal party for those areas. Each of the registered Aboriginal parties are funded around about $800,000 thereabouts.
For
Depends a little
all of
bit.
their staff?
Yeah, for all of their staff and their operating costs. And they also receive funds from the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action as well, and generate their own level of revenue, etc. as well. So they've got a level of capacity internally, but it's a challenge. The most significant challenge is, in particular in Melbourne, where probably 60% of the CHMPs are actually required because of the amount of development that's here. We work very closely in the case of Melbourne with Wurundjeri and the Bunurong and the Wadawurrung people in terms of Geelong, just trying to make sure we support and assist them in every way possible. We have provided additional resources from time to time when that's required, but the demands do fluctuate a bit. But broadly speaking, the system's working well, but it is challenged by the amount of development that's occurring, and as the Minister indicated, we'll look to try and provide some additional support whenever we possibly can, including trying to increase the number of trained Aboriginal heritage advisors so that you've got people that are skilled and with the resources to carry out the task. So it is a challenge for us, the Aboriginal Heritage Act 2006, it's actually a joint responsibility of registered Aboriginal parties and the government.
Yes.
We work together to deliver that system of protection.
So if the government is funding the RAPs to about $800K each, and there's still sometimes really exorbitant charges for cultural heritage management plans being charged, is that revenue raising, or is that to help supplement? Why are the charges? And is there a framework for what kinds of charges can be laid on these
Yeah, if
plans?
you look on the department's website, you'll see a whole lot of guidance material. It's provided both to private industry and to RAPs about giving guidance about prices and giving guidance about the timeframes.
It's just guidance though, isn't it?
It is guidance.
At the end of the day, the RAPs can charge all the cultural heritage management.
It is guidance, but I have to say it's a competitive market. It's out there.
So where does the money the money that's charged to developers or anyone needing a CHMP, where does that money then go? Straight back to the RAPs?
Goes to the RAPs, where they charge.
Okay, and they then, for operating costs?
Employ more people, do that kind of thing, yes.
Okay. Is the Allen government still committed to completing a cultural heritage review?
Minister, you want to have
Yes, there has been a lot of work done with the traditional owner, the council, and recommendations that have come out of that, and we're working with them to implement that.
Thank you, Minister. We'll go to Mr Hilakari.